What's going on, Notre Dame fans? This is Tyler Horka. That's Kyle Kelly with Blue and Gold Illustrated, blueandgold.com, On3 Network, where we're on Notre Dame's campus, obviously, as you can see. Pretty good backdrop. We had to do that. Beautiful day on campus here today where we just watched Notre Dame's third recruiting evaluation camp in the last week, right? There was one a week ago. Today, there was one Tuesday, and then obviously the one today. Some pretty notable recruits on campus today from both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. We'll start with the former. Kyle, you were keyed in on some offensive players today. What'd you see?
Yeah, I think the big one was a quarterback coming all the way from your old stomping grounds, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Keldon Ryan. He was impressive today. The one thing that you and I both noticed out of him was his quick release. I think that was one of the things that kind of jumped out on the practice field and kind of made him separate himself from the other quarterbacks. He's a little bit smaller of a guy, 6'1", and compared to some of the other passers they had on campus, didn't really have the height, but he was just on the money all day. I didn't really see him throw any bad passes in the one-on-ones. I mean, we're watching a lot of different things during those portions, but every time I caught a glimpse of Ryan, I was pretty impressed, and that release was truly one of the best things. And then afterward, quarterbacks coach Gino Guidugli took Ryan and a wide receiver from Michigan, Colin Charles, afterwards, and he did sort of like a 2-minute drill simulation. They didn't have a clock or anything like that on, but Ryan marched down the field with Charles, and like I said, it was kind of a simulation. So he was getting that extra one-on-one instruction from Gino Guidugli afterward, and usually I think that'd be a pretty good sign that that's a player that Notre Dame might offer. With the way 2025 recruiting is going right now, Deuce Knight is the name to know for Notre Dame, but it sounds like Ryan has put himself in a pretty good position after his performance today to pick up a Notre Dame offer.
Yeah, and someone that already has a Notre Dame offer from the defensive side of the ball, safety Ethan Long from Connecticut, Greenwick, Connecticut. He looked the part today. I mean, as soon as they went to individual drills today, you could kind of see that he was a little different. All the safety drills that you do, defensive back drills, where you'll line up about 4 guys across the same yard line, backpedal, flip the hips, go get the ball. He was getting the ball a lot quicker. He was making the guys who were throwing the passes throw him the ball a lot faster than the other guys just because he was getting through the drills so quickly. So he was impressive. And then even while the individual drills were going on, I think I said this last week when we recapped the first evaluation camp that Notre Dame had, the guys that the coaching staff are after when they pull them to the side and they talk to them for a little bit. So the way these things go is once you get through all the dynamic warm-up stuff and whatever and you get into the individual drills, there's usually about 16 periods. They're all 5 minutes in length. Ethan Long was pulled to the side by Chris O'Leary, Notre Dame's safeties coach, for probably 2 or 3 periods. So we're talking 10 to 15 minutes of valuable camp time. I mean, these guys are out here for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You want to soak up every minute that you can get when you're on that field. I mean, the same field that current Notre Dame players will be practicing on in 5 weeks to get ready for the season. And there you have Chris O'Leary literally coaching up Ethan Long one-on-one. I mean, they were working on release off the line of scrimmage, some backpedaling, some high-pointing things, which is obviously critical for safeties. That was pretty cool to see. And then another guy that I'll touch on is another defensive back, Devin Williams, who was a cornerback. Mike Mickens was doing the same thing. Notre Dame's cornerbacks coach was doing the same exact thing. Actually, before O'Leary got to Long, Mickens was doing the same thing with Williams. So those are
the idea, maybe.
I honestly think he did. Kyle actually texted me from across the field and was like, "Hey, we got some one-on-one coaching action going on." So I keyed in on that with Mickens and Williams, obviously, and then probably 10 minutes later, O'Leary's doing the same thing with Long. So it seemed like those two, Long and Williams, had like a pretty good rapport already too, which is pretty cool. Obviously, they're not from the same area. Williams is from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. So just when you go to these kinds of camps, the guys that Notre Dame is after, you kind of form, I wouldn't say like a cult community, but you bond with the guys that you might know will get an offer just like you have. And so it's pretty cool to see those two things. those were the two main defensive guys I watched. Another thing that I thought was interesting, I spent some time with the defensive line, Coach Al Washington, and was this the same thing that happened last week, or was it the inverse of it, where Washington had an offensive lineman, so a guy in a blue jersey. The defensive players wear white jerseys. There was a guy in a blue jersey who was Tyler Barrett. He has a offer from Virginia Tech, so obviously people are looking at him as an offensive lineman. I thought he was pretty quick in the defensive line drills where you have those little dummies that will oscillate like this and you got to knock them down. He was getting through those really quickly. Al Washington obviously knows his name. He kept saying, "Come on, Tyler. Let's go, Tyler. Get through that thing, Tyler." So pretty cool to see that. And I think it's just really cool to see the Notre Dame coaches not necessarily going out of their way to, spend time with these guys one-on-one and really try to hone in and improve these players' careers because, like I said, that is kind of their job. But they take these things seriously, and I think they really are trying to develop some of the recruits out here. I don't know if you saw any of that on the offensive side of the ball or maybe just some other standout performances. I know you saw some wide receiver play that was really impressive.
Yeah, not so much one-on-one attention at this camp. I think on the defensive side, that's where a lot of the marquee recruits were for this camp. But the offense kind of surprised me, to be honest. I think going into it, we weren't as encouraged by the guys on the offensive side just because of Ethan Long and Devin Williams taking so much attention going into this camp. But we came away pretty surprised, and one guy was a personal favorite for you and I. Number 3, we have to shout him out, is Jacob Butler, wide receiver, 5'9", 155 pounds,
Small kid.
From Long Island Lutheran High School in New York. He was great all day long. I don't think we saw him lose a rep. He unfortunately ended the day with an injury. It looked minor. He popped up okay, maybe got the wind knocked out of him, but he had a tremendous catch over a defensive back. It's a tough catch to
I wish I got it on video because it was fantastic. You got some pictures of it though, so maybe maybe we'll include those in some articles or whatever because it was impressive. When you have a guy who's 5'9", 155, high pointing a ball in the end zone, coming down with the catch, it was awesome.
Yeah, and he's only a 2026 kid, so he's a rising sophomore, just finished his freshman season. There's a lot of time there, and hey, you never know. He could get offered today. I'm not putting out of the question. Marcus Freeman was really impressed with the way he played.
And Jared Parker, too. I mean, you would see this kid win reps in the end zone, and Marcus Freeman would turn around and, do a little, Steph Curry shoulder shimmy shake, just saying, hey, I like what this kid has. And then, like we said, 5'9", 155, but Jared Parker was even impressed with one of his inside leverage, swing moves, something you do with your right arm to get in front of defensive back. Kid has the full arsenal, the full package. So, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an offer.
Not going to be surprised. No, I mean, like we mentioned, 2026 recruit. So there's so much time left, and with a strong sophomore season, and even if he gets an inch or two, I think that's a kid that Notre Dame is really going to like. And then there was a couple tight ends I wanted to make sure to mention from Archbishop Moeller in Cincinnati, which is where Carson Hobbs, Notre Dame's 24 cornerback, is committed. These two guys looked impressive today, Cooper McCutcheon and Samuel Hamilton. Both Hamilton, a 2026 recruit, they both are 2026 recruits, so both those guys got the size, and they're only rising sophomores. That program down there, Archbishop Moeller's got to be really encouraged by the guys that they're going to have for this upcoming season. Both those guys played really well today, and like I mentioned, I mean, they still got 3 years of high school left, so I wouldn't be surprised if they put themselves on Notre Dame's radar and stick to it after today's performance.
Well, that'll about do it for us. A lot to talk about. You kind of go into these things thinking, well, I don't know, there's only this kid and that kid, but you come out of it saying, hey, that kid's got a chance, and so does that one. So I thought it was a pretty good day all in all. These things are over now. Is that it?
It's over. The dead period starts, I think, on Sunday, but this pretty much wraps up Notre Dame's recruiting month. They have another 2025 target on campus, in addition to Devin Williams and Ethan Long today. Offensive lineman Owen Strebik from Wisconsin. He's definitely a name to know. Joe Rudolph did not offer him at Wisconsin, but had a relationship with him. So that's a guy Notre Dame has really high on their board, and that's pretty much like the cliffhanger to leave you on for this one, because if things go well, I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame puts himself at the top of the list for Streebig.
We'll definitely go to blueandgold.com for all of your Notre Dame recruiting tidbits. Kyle Kelly, Mike Singer will have all of that covered. And then, like I said, in 5 weeks, Notre Dame starts fall camp, and we'll be here to cover that. And August 26th will be here before you know it, Notre Dame taking on Navy in Ireland. But until then, keep watching us. Go to blueandgold.com, and we'll see you next time.